México Libre. That's the name of the song that you're hearing right now. It's from the band Lost Acupulco, and you can find it on their album Death by Robots. They gave us permission to play their music here on the show, and I thought it'd be a fitting song to kick off Lucha de Mayo 2026 here on Bride of Monster Kid Radio, or should we call it Bride of Lucha Kid Radio? Whatever you call it. Call me, Derek M. Cook, the writer, producer, and director of this podcast. For years now here on the podcast, both Bride of Monster Kid Radio and the previous iteration of the show, we have tried to celebrate luchador monster movies and just luchador flicks in general during the month of May, Lucha de Mayo. I love me a good luchador movie. I love these films so much. They're just so much fun. Well, after a while, you start to go over, well, a lot of them. And I know that we haven't covered every single one. That's going to be a nigh impossible task here on the podcast, but sometimes we want to change it up a little bit. And over the years, I have had people suggest that maybe we don't just do luchador movies during Lucha de Mayo, that maybe we do some other Mexican horror movies and just kind of make it a thing. And that's what we're doing this year. In fact, we're kicking off 2026's version of Lucha de Mayo with a non-luchador movie. We're going to be talking about the film The Curse of the Crying Woman, and we're going to be doing that with my wife, Beth, who has never seen the movie, and actually, I don't think I had seen it either. This is probably one that I've shown on the stream in the past, and stay tuned for news about the stream at the end of the episode. But I don't think I've actually just sat down to give it a dedicated watch, so what you're going to get this week is Beth and I talking about a movie. We went into it thinking it was going to be one thing. It ended up being something wonderfully different, and, well, if I told you now, you wouldn't have any reason to keep listening to this episode of the podcast, so stay tuned for that. Of course, before we get to that, we've got Mark Matsky's Beta Capsule Review. What is the Beta Capsule Review? For those of you just now joining us, Mark Matsky is a huge fan of all things kaiju and loves his tokusatsu films. He also likes cryptids, but that's a totally different podcast and things. But for here, for Bride of Monster Kid Radio, he does the Beta Capsule Review, where he has been going through every single episode of every single season of Ultraman, every series of Ultraman, and breaking it down show by show, episode by episode. We're still working on Ultraman Taro, and we've got that coming up later in this episode. And you know what? I've always thought Ultraman and Luchadors, that would be a fun team up, right? I think that would just be really, really neat. I don't know if you could get like a giant size, kaiju size Luchador. In fact, that actually sounds rather dangerous. But it would look really cool. Anyway, let me get out of my own head and get back to doing this episode. Why don't we go ahead and roll into Mark Matsky's Beta Capsule Review. Then Beth and I will get into The Curse of the Crying Woman right after this.
In 1930s London, Dr. Cushing collects occult artifacts. Opal and topaz foresee the future. Vincent Dupree sculpts a lost queen. His wife, Victoria, craves eternal youth, and Paul Shaw dreads the next full moon. A werewolf, a mummy, and a vampire clash in Dr. Cushing's Chamber of Horrors. Available at Amazon, Audible, and other fine retailers. CushingHorrors.com.
Trapped! Trapped! Trapped!
They're trapped in a whirlpool of shrieking fear from the most fiendish idea ever conceived by the human brain.
The Brainiac!
And it has a friend. She was beautiful, desirable, and not altogether human.
The Curse of the Crying Women!
Together they will trap you in a world of horror. But if you live through it, you will never forget.
The Brainiac and the Curse of the Crying Women.
Live from the Land of Light in Nebula M78, home of the mighty Ultra Heroes, it's Bride of Monster Kid Radio's Beta Capsule Review. Ultraman Taro, Episode 32, Wintry Wind Monster, Matasaburo of the Wind. Original air date, November 9th, 1973. While conducting a weather observation for school, Kenichi sees a strange black cloud. The cloud coincides with the arrival of an unusual new classmate named Don. Don invites his peers to glimpse a kaiju through their telescope before a storm warning cancels school. Kenichi is bewildered by Don, but also enjoys his company, and begins to deduce that the umbrella-toting boy is more than just an eccentric soul. ZAT is employed to investigate the approaching storm system, and they learn that a giant monster is generating the extreme winds. When Kaiju Guran appears, ZAT responds with immediate air power. However, Kenichi and Don end up on top of Guran's head, limiting the Defense Force's options. While Kenichi learns Don's true intentions on that precarious perch, Kotaro hatches a risky plan to cut off the source of Guran's hurricane force wind. A plan that doesn't quite accomplish the intended purpose. Wintry Wind Monster Matasaburo of the Wind has its basis in a story largely unfamiliar to Western audiences, a 1924 children's story by Kenji Miyazawa called, you guessed it, Matasaburo of the Wind. It centers on a mysterious red-haired transfer student who's actually a wind spirit that brings strange summer winds both refreshing and chaotic. The story, a staple of Japanese children's literature, emphasizes the wonders of summer and mysteries of nature, which can be pleasant and unpredictable all at once. The Ultraman Taro version of Matasaburo leans into the destructive power of wind, but retains a strong element of mystery regarding the transfer student Don. Like many yokai stories, the spirit's motivations are hard to discern and result in contradictory behaviors. But what seems clear is that Kenichi's gracious friendship has deeply affected Don. Evidently, the winds of change have touched him as well. For Bride of Monster Kid Radio's Beta Capsule Review, this is Mark Matsky reporting.
How much shock can you take? It will haunt you forever. From the depths of evil comes a diabolic killer of beautiful women. The vampire's coffin. See a vampire's body stolen from its tomb. A psycho killer removes the stake so the vampire can again prey on beautiful women. It's in the vampire's coffin. And to complete a double night of horror, a monstrous nightmare of terror, turn loose in a fight to the death. The robot versus the Aztec mummy. They will bring you a night of terror. We dare you to see them, but don't come alone. The Vampire's Coffin in an all-new double horrorama show with The Robot versus the Aztec Mummy, presented in Hypnoscope. To heighten the horror, shock your senses, chill your brain. It could only be shown at midnight.
The sound you hear is dripping blood. This is the start of Black Sunday. Black Sunday comes but once every 100 years. On that day, the undead demons of hell rise to unleash an orgy of evil on the world. From Nicolas Gogol's great classic, American International Pictures presents Black Sunday, the most frightening motion picture you have ever seen. She was murdered 500 years ago. There in the barren waste that was her cemetery, they nailed the mask of Satan to her face. Not since Dracula stalked the earth has there been such an unspeakable day and night as Black Sunday.
This is Count Vlad, but you may recognize me by my more familiar name, Count Dracula, and I'm here to offer you a friendly warning. Derek and his guests often get excited, and occasionally this results in revealing key plot points of the movies they're discussing. In your parlance, you might call these revelations spoilers. You know how the children of the night, monster kids, can get sometimes. So consider yourself warned, and don't come begging to me to kill them for their transgressions afterward. I have more pressing issues to take care of, like that pesky Van Helsing.
So we're kicking off May 2026, Lucha de Mayo 2026, not with a luchador movie, but with a Mexican horror movie, Mexican Gothic horror movie called The Curse of the Crying Woman, filmed in 61, not released until 63. What is the Spanish pronunciation? I can never say the word.
La Reina.
Thank you. And I've got my favorite La Reina. That doesn't make sense. I'm not going to make you cry, but I've got Beth here, and we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, we thought in honor of Mother's Day coming up this next week in the United States, why not, and us being in the Southwest, why not tackle a movie that takes some hints, at least, if not its entire story, from the legend of La Reina.
So I wanted to ask you about that because you're more familiar with the original legend than I am.
In most versions of the legend, you have a ghost woman who wanders usually along the banks of water, lakes, rivers, streams, that sort of thing, and she's crying for her dead children. In some iterations, she killed them. In some iterations, they were taken from her and killed. But because of this, she is going after future children and often descendants of particular lineages. There's often a thing about lineages in La Reina stories, which is common in Spanish folklore and tales and stuff, so that makes sense.
Okay.
That it would bleed into Mexican stories and film.
Okay.
But just some real stars in this thing. Big names for Mexican film at the time, starring in this, and not the first version of La Reina. There was actually a 1933. But this version, taking place in the 60s, starts to combine a number of different horror tropes, monster tropes. We get a number of different pieces coming into the story and look a little bit more like what we think of as a modern Gothic tale.
It is very Gothic. I was really struck by the Gothic trappings in this film. It was very, you could see a lot of Dracula influence here. Universal Dracula.
Yes.
Right down to her supposedly walking through some cobwebs, which is a shtick in both the Lugosi Dracula and the Spanish language version of Dracula that was shot and released at the same time by Universal. It's more obvious in the Spanish language version. In fact, the first several times I saw the Bela Lugosi Dracula, I didn't realize that was happening because the picture wasn't very clear. I didn't know it was until I saw it on the big screen in a restored version. But that happens in this. There's a lot of things that happen in this that really struck me, and smelled like, tasted like, felt like Dracula to me. A lot of stuff here. Plus a movie called Black Sunday, an Italian horror film.
In fact, I actually, in prepping for this, I was reading that some people call this the Mexican Black Sunday.
Okay.
That it is referred to as.
Have you seen Black Sunday?
I have not, but
I think we really like
came
it.
up.
It's Barbara Steele, and she's amazing, and it's just fantastic.
Right.
But there's a lot of that in that as well. This kind of lineage, heritage horror. Is that a thing?
Heritage horror, yeah, I can double thing.
I like that. Ancestral horror.
Ancestral horror, sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of that here too. And you mentioned some of the big players. Abel Salazar is in a lot of movies, genre films. In fact, he's in The Brainiac, which Matt and I are going to talk about later this month.
Oh, okay.
So, got Abel Salazar as the husband, but really he's
quite the handsome fellow. I mean, you can tell by the way that they dress him in this, by the way he's presented, by the way when he's on screen, he's usually centered. If you notice, even though he's not the main character of the story, he's definitely there to sell tickets in a way. I'm not saying great performance, but the name is there and the face is there to sell tickets. To a degree, I think.
the name Herbert.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Okay, so we did not know until we started watching the version we had that it was going to be dubbed
Right.
in English. And I typically prefer subs over dubs because if I don't say that, our 24-year-old child will end me.
Well, no, you're right. I prefer subtitles.
Subs over dubs typically. With the exception of I have seen one of the best subs and dubs that I ever saw was Das Boot with English subtitles but dubbed in Japanese. Great movie. Yeah, very confusing to watch though. But worse than Sean Connery trying to speak Russian.
So this is in English, but it still had the subtitles as if it was doing a subtitle translation for the Spanish.
Right. So you got to see a little more of what they were actually trying to say because some of the English dubbing, as I'm sure no one has ever experienced this before, they dumbed it down.
Yeah, they really did. And you can tell, like with the names in particular, I don't know why they went with Herbert.
I think you actually brought up that you thought maybe it was mouth movements. His character's name is Jaime, as in Jamie.
Right.
Or James, Jaime often being, I just happen to know this because of family members with the name, a nickname for Diego, though, too. And although that's not mentioned, but then they went with Herbert, which is just weird. At least his wife, they went with Emily for Amelia. I kind of see that, although why you couldn't just keep Amelia, I don't know. But
yeah. So if we kind of go back and forth on the names, that's why.
Yeah.
But yeah, they really did kind of, I hate to say dumb it down for English speaking audiences, but I did feel like there was more subtlety in the Spanish, the subtitle translation of the original Spanish language that we did not get to hear.
Yeah, I agree.
It was a confusing way to watch the movie.
A little bit.
But, we got into it and, okay, there it is. I really enjoyed the experience of watching it, even though once we got into it, I realized, wait a minute, this is not the woman who drowned her children at the river.
No, they took the visual that's associated with La Lorena and very much changed it.
Yeah. And it makes me wonder how much we might have been missing out because that was not the culture in which we were raised.
Mm-hmm.
Like our pop culture, for me, my pop culture reference or touchstones for this kind of thing is Dracula, is Frankenstein, is the universal monsters.
Yes.
And once you kind of get your head wrapped around the idea that here in the States, we started making Dracula movies that had nothing to do with Bram Stoker's original.
Oh, yeah.
And it started making Frankenstein movies that had nothing to do with Mary Shelley. That's what this was.
Yeah, totally.
It's a La Lorena. Did I say
La
it right?
Lorena, very good, yeah.
The La Lorena story that had nothing to do with the original folktale. But the pieces are there. And it's, an example of using a public domain myth and telling your own story with it and creating some really creepy visuals and story.
No, I was really impressed with not only the use of what they clearly had available, like with the hacienda and some of the different rooms and sets, but the way they did the makeup, I guess.
The makeup was phenomenal. The monster makeup.
For the monster.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
phenomenal. It was so good. I don't know who did the special makeup effects. There, unfortunately, with a lot of these Mexican movies,
They didn't list everything. Yeah.
well, they didn't list everything. And then once you start looking into resources, as Americans, we don't have access to some of that material. It's kind of harder to find. I did find a name, Juan Munoz Revello,
Reveal, okay.
who was a special effects guy, but I don't know anything about him. I don't know if he did the special makeup effects or if he was responsible for the models, because there was some model work as well.
Some great model work, and really for the time period, for the early 60s, some neat camera overlay, film overlay
Yeah,
work to create some special effects that I felt were very effective for the time period and the media used and everything.
for sure. This guy also did some Santo films. So,
Okay.
there's our luchador connection for
There you go.
So there's our luchador. But the cast I thought was really good. I thought there was an age difference between our handsome husband and our young heroine.
So just like any 60s movie here,
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
To 60s movies.
50s, 40s, all of them.
Now,
Yeah.
Tom Cruise keeps getting older, but his love interests always stay the same in all of his new movies.
Imagine that.
They're always in their 20s or 30s, yet he's how old? Yeah. Anyway, but he got this handsome dude, and they are going to her aunt's
Yeah, it's her aunt's hacienda.
hacienda because they've been married and they're coming back to visit or move in, or
She's invited home.
she's invited.
The aunt invited her.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, invited home, and she ends up getting involved in.
Oops, there's a family curse.
Yep. Oops, family curse. Which,
That feels like a theme of its own. Oops, family curse.
oops, family curse. Ooh. Oh man, we could do. There's a movie called The Maze
Yeah.
with Richard Carlson,
Okay.
one of the guys from Creature.
Yeah.
That's got oops, family curse, and it's so good. But yeah, no, it's got a lot of this kind of oops, family curse stuff, and we've got to have somebody remove a spear from the corpse of a killed witch, a crying woman,
Yeah.
wailing woman,
Yeah, the undead corpse of a
and
wailing woman.
the special makeup effects that are going into place.
So I guess that's it too, that actually the undead corpse is La Varina, and the aunt is like a minion of hers getting power.
There's a minion, but there's another minion too.
There's another minion, yeah. Danny up the minion, yeah.
Daniel, who I think that is his name in the actual film too.
Oh, okay.
But Daniel is this hunchback. So you got this Igor guy who was saved from the gallows, which again, Igor Lugosi from Son of Frankenstein and Ghost of Frankenstein. In fact, they've even got the little hump, weird walk thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of implied that I thought in this film that Daniel was saved before he was hanged, whereas in Son of Frankenstein, Ghost of Frankenstein, Igor actually was hanged, broke his neck, but didn't kill him.
Okay.
So they don't say it this way, but because of double jeopardy stuff, they just kind of let it go and let Igor do his thing. But in this one, it's kind of implied that he's saved before the hanging, but he's still got this obvious chiropractic need.
Yeah.
or
Fair.
yeah. And he's good and creepy and carrying out the orders of the master of the hacienda or castle.
The mistress.
The mistress, yeah, the aunt. In fact, we see him kill people in the first 5 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
And it's like, it does not wait. We've got a horse and buggy and a couple of guys and a young woman, and they get stopped, and Daniel's throwing knives into people and running over young ladies.
Now, hang on. You're confusing two characters.
Hmm.
You're confusing the henchman character with the aunt's husband, Daniel.
I've been saying Daniel.
But yeah.
I've been saying Daniel this whole time. I'm so sorry. No, Daniel is the husband. You're absolutely right.
And
I'm so sorry.
He was turned into like a wild man because he's been Man in the Iron Mask locked up.
You're so correct. I'm so sorry. Daniel is the guy who is stuck in the
tower, or for lack of a better word, bell tower.
Yeah.
They unlocked at the top of the bell tower.
No, you're absolutely right. I am so sorry. What was the henchman's name? You remember?
I don't remember. We were just calling him Igor.
That's right. Yeah, he's the Igor. But yeah, no, he's throwing knives into people,
Setting dogs on people.
and after the young lady gets out of the cab, the buggy, the carriage,
Yeah.
lays down in front of the carriage, and he sets the horses loose, and they run her over.
Yeah, that was kind
Opening
of
credits. And we've got talk of finding corpses without any blood in them, so there's more vampire Dracula illusions.
Yeah, the local constabulary they're on to the fact that something's happening. They just have been waiting for proof, basically.
Right. You've got Amelia or Emily,
Yeah.
when she gets the info dump. This is a curse. This is your legacy. This is your fate. She doesn't want anything to do with it. She goes running off and runs into a villager who then runs to the police and tells him what's going on. And La Policia is like, well, finally we have a reason to go check it out. Finally. And then the dogs get turned loose on them. Man, this movie's aggressive. I was really struck by the cinematography.
Okay.
I thought it was shot incredibly well. I thought the black and white really lended to the story that we're telling.
Oh, definitely.
The deep shadows, the way the models were integrated into the non-model footage, I thought worked really, really well. I was really impressed. Really impressed with the way this looked. I don't know if this has ever been released on Blu-ray or has had a proper restoration, but I bet if it did, it looks amazing. I would like for that to happen. So I'm going to will that into existence.
Okay.
You hear me, Mexican cinema gods? Get this released on Blu-ray and in Spanish with subtitles, not English with, yeah.
Yeah.
There was something else that happened during the movie a couple of times I don't wanted to comment on. The jump scares.
Oh, there's some good jump scares. Even when I knew they were coming, they got me.
There were jump scares that got us both. We're sitting here watching it on the couch, cuddled up, and bam! And it was really effective.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes when you think about the movies that we talk about here on Lucha de Mayo, they're the luchador movies.
Yeah.
They're good, they're fun, but they are what they are. And in terms of like high craftsmanship, you're not looking for subtle special effects. You're not looking for amazing costumes. You're putting people underneath a canvas and having them undulate a little bit and say, see, that's a blob. You're not looking for jump scares. You're not looking for people passing through cobwebs. But this one shows that, and even people who did work on some of the luchador films, man, they could do it if they wanted to.
Yeah.
I thought the direction was really good. Rafael Baladon, who I'm going to mispronounce that, butcher that. The director was fantastic. This is one of my favorite movies we've talked about on the show.
It was really, really fun, and, fun to have kind of a new plot, a new story that you didn't know what was going to happen, that you didn't have any idea, where it was going to end up, and quite dark for the, Mexican monster movies that I've seen so far. So that was kind of fun.
What Mexican monster movies have you seen?
Well, I mean, things like the Santo movies and, there've been a few zombie things and stuff, but
Okay.
this definitely had a dark tone to it of beware and, don't go into the woods at night type of a thing.
Which is kind of typical with a lot of folklore, right? These stories come up to keep people from to keep kids
from doing dumb stuff.
Right. We talked about this when we went to Kuwait, when we were trying to look up local lore and monsters.
And they were like, don't go into the desert at night. Don't go out in the middle of the day in the desert. They had day monsters there because going out in the middle of the desert in the day is dangerous at some points of the year,
Which I was expecting going into this. I even asked you while we were watching it, do we need, is this okay? It's not the story we thought it was. Is this going to be all right?
That was great.
Okay. I feel like I've been really kind of going on and on and on. Tell me more about what you thought.
Well, I really appreciated the spookiness and that they used the things like the makeup very effectively. It wasn't all the time. It was just at key moments. There was some great effects with some mirrors and things that...
Yes.
Some of the things that I found most effective on this were the ways that the makeup or the special effects were used, whether that was the eye effect for our main villainess or the Pepper's Ghost effect in the mirror sort of thing, or even just some of the characters not having a reflection.
That was so good. And I would say even more effective than we've seen in some of the Universal vampire movies.
Yeah.
I mean, I love these movies. Don't get me wrong. I love the Universal monster movies and the Dracula films, but you can see Bela Lugosi in various reflections at times. The few times that you don't see his reflection, we don't get to see him not having a reflection. He reacts to having no reflection.
Yeah.
We don't really spend a lot of time with it. Whereas with this one, they tried really hard and like had a special set constructed where they had multiple, like a double on the other side of the screen or on the other side of the mirror. It was so good.
It was just really well done. I'm not entirely sure how they did it, whether they had a double standing behind something or whether they took film and put it over other film or exactly how they did it. But yeah, it was really well done. And they did it more than once. So you had a chance to try to see if you could figure out what they were doing. And I still couldn't tell you for sure, but it was very, very effective.
They did what a good magic act should do.
Is make it look easy.
Well, make it look easy, or like even a good special makeup effect. For example, Tom Savini talks a lot about this, that if you're going to use a machete to chop somebody up, you got to show that machete is real first, right? So you use the machete to hit something or cut something.
Yeah, chop a coconut first, show us it'll cut, and then we believe you.
Yeah, exactly. So then when we cut to the fake one, we still think it's the real one. I feel like in this case, we had the mirror is obviously real.
Yeah.
We saw it working the way mirrors work.
Yes.
However, when things needed to get spooky, it did. And it was the same mirror. It was the same setup. It wasn't, something different. We have the mirror on a wall that is moving to reveal a secret passage.
I really liked that storybook opening effects type of thing. I even said, I could have a door like that to my closet. That'd be awesome.
We are going to someday. Someday, the Monster Kid Radio Castle needs to have secret passages and hidden rooms and mirrors that turn into doorways. It has to happen.
To the Lego dungeon.
To the Lego dungeon, yes.
Or lagoon.
The lagoon.
The lagoon.
The Legound, okay. I just found out it is available on Blu-ray.
Okay.
Indicator and Powerhouse put it out in the UK on Blue. It was a standard edition Blu-ray, so I don't know if it was, high definition remaster. It's got both the Spanish and English language soundtracks. It does have some commentary tracks, some special features, and it's only $12.
Okay, well, see, there you go. Speaking as a mom who likes horror movies and spooky monster movies, if I hadn't just seen it, this is something I would love to receive along with dinner that I don't have to cook for Mother's Day, which is coming up this weekend. So buy your mom a movie and some dinner and call her and tell her you love her. Or your creepy auntie or whoever it is that serves that mothering role in your life, your friend Jeff, whoever it is that serves that mothering role in your life. If you want to make them feel special this Mother's Day, here's a perfect gift idea for you.
If it's only $12, man, I mean, really. And it's a region-free release, so you don't have to worry about it not working with your Blu-ray player.
There you go.
There you go. This is super cool. Did you like the villain? Did you like her?
I loved her. And what I really liked after kind of looking up a little bit about her, she's kind of known to be this more glamorous actress. Like leading up to that, she'd been the real sexy star in a lot of her movies. And so this is kind of a fun, dark, gritty role for her to really, get into and get to play with it and be evil. And you can tell she's having fun playing the role. A very believable villain. She was 100% committed to what she was doing. I fully believe that she was like, sacrifice family members? Not a problem. Here we go.
Rita Macedo?
Macedo, I think.
I mean, that's her Internet Movie Database picture is quite stunning.
Oh, yeah. She's a gorgeous woman. And so then how fun to take someone that's so beautiful and then kind of apply these horror effects to the makeup. It's very striking.
She was really good. Really, really good. Oh, and she was in Neutron versus the Maniac. So there's another luchador connection.
There you go.
And that was after this movie. He's got one heck of a career. Look at all this stuff that she did that I cannot pronounce.
No, very believable as a villain and for a villainess of that era really holds her own. And it's impressive to see because I think a lot of 50s and 60s you get kind of male-coded villains for the most part.
Yeah, I could see that. It looks like the niece was also in a number of genre films and a number of other movies as well. Rosita Arenas.
Arenas.
Okay, thank you. She was also in a Neutron movie, which is another, luchador film. Oh, was she in the Aztec versus the Mummies or whatever that is? Yeah. Robot versus the Aztec Mummy.
Well, there you go.
All right. So yeah, she did quite a few of these types of movies as well as also serious Mexican film
Sure.
cinema, I'm sure. She spent a lot of time just kind of screaming and not doing a lot towards the end, but I felt like I was expecting a bigger, broader performance from her.
Okay.
Just because the movie felt like it needed that at the end.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it was a detriment per se. Like it didn't take me out of the movie, but maybe it's a cultural thing too.
Okay. All right.
But I do like that at the end when she does have the turn and she's like, I'm not pulling this spear out. I'm going to shove it in deeper. It's like, oh, I felt that. Oh,
yeah.
Oh, I felt that.
And they drew it out. I was waiting for it then to the point where I almost went, oh, is this going to go a different way than I thought?
This movie's not going to have a happy ending. It did take forever for the hacienda to crumble. They really got their use out of that model.
Again, reminding me of the castle crumbling in the background.
Yeah.
With the water flooding through it and the castle crumbling.
Oh, yeah, from Frankenstein. Yeah. So that's something that I love about these Mexican genre films and war movies is that, they obviously, and I'm not saying they're incapable of coming up with their own stuff because clearly they were.
No, but they have some beautiful nods to classic English films.
I mean, the American film industry was pretty, it wasn't the only one, and it's not where films started. But the American film industry became the juggernaut, right?
Yes.
The leader of the industry, and probably still is to this day, globally. Although there are other pockets of the world that are doing really amazing work. So I don't think it's inaccurate to say that Mexican filmmakers, Mexican studios in particular, saw American horror movies and said, that worked there, let's do that here. But because of where they are and their influences, their own stuff gets folded into it.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So they see Dracula, they see Frankenstein. And at this point in the 60s, these movies have been re-released. They're being shown, I think they're being shown on television at this point. I think that's when the shock package happened.
Yep, periodically, I think. And they're in the dime theaters and the quarter theaters that the kids are going and rewatching them again and again and again and again. My dad talks about this, that's all that they, on Saturday afternoon after they're done with their chores, if they hung around, Grandma was going to find stuff for them to do. So they took their change, their pennies, and went down and watched a movie and, pay once, sneak into 3 different movies.
Right. Well, and I can imagine, too, that down in Mexico and other parts of the world, and this is how movies keep getting, found, the so-called lost films, is that they get sent to these international markets as kind of like a last resort. Like, okay, we've made all the possible money we can off of Dracula. Let's send it down to South America, and if we get it back, fine. If not, well, we already got all our money out of it.
Yeah.
And that's how things like Metropolis gets rediscovered, or this missing reel from Dracula that we still haven't talked enough about in film circles, I feel like, having been found in somebody's private collection, and I think it was somewhere down in South America. I could be wrong on that one, but I do know South America seems to be a hotbed of lost films turning up. Like I said, Metropolis, they found the most complete version of that down there. How cool is that? This final reel of Dracula turning up in somebody's collection because the studio didn't care anymore.
Yeah.
We already got our money out of it, so what?
Who with tons of money in South America could be collecting all these old?
I wasn't going to go there, but it's just really interesting to me. And again, you see it with like in the Japanese Dracula movies of the 70s. Dracula did really well in the States. Let's do it over here. Godzilla did really well in Japan, and it was inspired partially by the giant monster movies we were doing over here in the 50s.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting to kind of look at that, but then again, have that extra layer, that local filter, kind of changing it up a little bit. Instead of Dracula, which at this point was considered an American monster, even though he's, Irish. Irish? Was Bram Stoker Irish?
Bram Stoker's Irish.
Okay. European. Let's take out Dracula, insert La Lorena. I can't roll my R's. And go.
Yeah.
Plug and play. Plug and play. I took over the conversation again. Please.
Well, and I think some of these translate really well, like whether it's Dracula or Frankenstein. Oh, look, we've got an old stone castle with a staircase. Oh, well, we've got an old stone hacienda with a staircase. Oh, we've got a creepy tower. Oh, we've got a creepy bell tower. And it's just tweaking, instead of just a tower with bats alone in it, we make it make sense because they did use, as I've been learning about from some of the museums and things here in the Southwest, bells were a huge part in the Southwest of fire protection.
Oh, like they would ring the bell?
They would ring the bell if there was a fire for everybody to come because you could hear it for miles, and so people would come to help fight fires and stuff, or other emergencies, invasion of someone or fire or whatever. And so it would be very, very normal for a hacienda outside of town like that to have a bell tower with a bell, especially a rich. You pull up on the scene, you look at the house, you go, they got money. It's like old European money, and in a way, it probably is old European money via Spain during the colonization. It is in a way. So how perfect that instead of a castle, we have the hacienda. Instead of the castle staircase, we have the hacienda staircase. It's the mud daub staircase instead of the stone or whatever. But it's so well mirrored, joke there because the mirror thing earlier, that I think it plays really well. Yeah, I really, having the creepy old aunt be the main villain is kind of amazing, and like how power hungry and unapologetic she is about it is kind of great.
Is it, and forgive my ignorance, I'm a white dude.
Yeah.
Is it the Mexican culture where the auntie is using the flip-flop?
Chancla.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is that kind of where some of this, the woman is the big bad as opposed to like a dude from Transylvania or whatever?
I think it's the idea that women can be, that they're seen more as being a possible threat, whereas women in white Northern European culture do not tend to be seen as a threat.
Okay.
By men.
Okay.
And in at least from watching movies with our younger daughter, as she went through 9 years of Spanish and everything, and learning the language and other stuff I've experienced, I'd say it's more of a awareness that if pushed too far, any woman can snap. And I think we see that both with the aunt in this, but I think we see it with the niece as well. She starts out very, very principled about, I'm not gonna do that. Are you kidding me? No, I'm not gonna participate in your family curse nonsense. No. Mm-hmm. And yet, because of circumstances and things happening to her, it's that idea that if pushed too far, any woman can snap and become, a villain if they feel they need to be to survive. And it's interesting. It is a cultural difference, I'd say.
I wonder too, some Latin countries
Mm-hmm.
were a bit more progressive when it came to women's rights and the role of women in society than we were up here in the U.S. Not all, but some were a little bit more progressive. So I wonder if some of that creeps in here too.
I think that could be.
Yeah. So cool.
Very cool.
So cool.
What a cool movie, and definitely one you should check out if you've never seen it, because I think you'll be really impressed. I think you'll add it to your list of monsters.
I was worried that we were kicking off Lucha de Mayo without a luchador movie. In fact, we're only doing, I mean, Matt and I are doing the Brainiac, which isn't Luchador. I know Robert Kelly's coming back, and we're looking at you, Doctor of Doom. And I do have a recording with Matt and Jeff from a screening they saw of Doctor of Doom. But I was really worried that we were kicking off this month without a Luchador movie. But after having watched this, I shouldn't have worried.
Okay.
Is it Luchador? No, absolutely not. It's got some Luchador connections with Abel Salazar and them, but it's such a solid film.
Yeah.
I wish I hadn't waited so long to talk about it, because I feel like
you had a few of those this year.
Yeah, and this is a character that belongs in the pantheon with Dracula, with Frankenstein's monster, with the Gill Man. This story, this wailing woman story, needs to be right up there.
Well, and I think it shows too that we don't just need female versions of the existing characters. I don't just need a yes, the bride is the bride, but I kind of take her as an exception. But we don't just need a female Dracula or a female wolf woman or whatever.
Yeah.
An invisible woman. We don't just need that. We need female horror characters that stand on their own and that are who they are because they're women. And that can be a part of their identity.
I'm sorry, I got distracted thinking about a female version of the Gill Man, and I started having really, really weird thoughts. All right, well, here we are at the very end of this episode of Bride of Monster Kid Radio. I hope you've enjoyed the dip into Lucha de Mayo. We are going to be doing more Mexican monster movies and even a luchador film or two this month. You heard me mention earlier that Matt Rashley's coming back to the show to talk about the Brainiac with me, which will be a good time. I'm working with Robert Kelly to schedule the time to get him on to talk about a proper luchador, or should we say luchadora, film. And then I've got something else that I'm cooking up. So stay tuned to monsterkidradio.net for what's coming up next. That's actually where you're going to want to send people when you want to tell people about your favorite podcast named Bride of Monster Kid Radio. It would be weird if there's more than one, though. There's another podcast called Bride of Monster Kid Radio. I know a few people have started using Monster Kid as kind of like part of their title, which is totally cool, man. The more Monster Kids, the merrier. But there is only one Bride of Monster Kid Radio, and I want you to tell people all about it. Call this your call to action, your CTA. Let people know about the podcast. If you are active on any social media platform, send them over. We want to grow the audience, grow the show, grow the core, and just become the best podcast we possibly can for you. Speaking of social media, you can find us at Facebook, X, Reddit, YouTube, Patreon even. We are all over the place, and you just look us up or follow the links in the show notes over at monsterkidradio.net. And hey, you know what? I think I actually cut this out of the conversation. In case I did not, correction, The Curse of the Crying Woman on Blu-ray is available through our Amazon affiliate link for $12.49. If you buy it through the Amazon affiliate link, which will be on the show notes over on our website, we get like a penny or two off the top. So if you want to add this to your collection, if Beth and I have enticed you properly, please consider picking it up and using our Amazon affiliate link. You can find it. It's right there. It's obvious. It's the Frankenstein monster with the Amazon A on it. Every time you use that link to buy not just DVDs or Blu-rays, but anything on Amazon, well, it helps us out, and we really appreciate your support. Speaking of your support, I mentioned Patreon. If you go to patreon.com/monsterkidradio, well, you can become a paying patron, which helps us out a little bit, but just following us on Patreon gets you a little bit of inside information, advanced knowledge, a spoiler of what we're going to be talking about on the next episode of the podcast. You see, in the middle of the week, I hit up all of our different social media platforms, and I let everybody know about the show notes, remind people that the podcast is out there, but I don't announce what the next episode is going to cover unless you follow us on Patreon, and only there will you find out what is coming up on the next show. So you can kind of plan ahead, maybe do your homework, watch the movie ahead of time, and just kind of know what's up. Be in the know, the inner circle, so to speak. Not the inner sanctum, which is a program we're starting later this year, but the inner circle, you know? We would love to have you there. Of course, if you want to help us out by becoming a paying patron, that helps us out too. Now, if you have any thoughts about anything that we've talked about here on the show, we would love to hear from you. Email me at monsterkidradio@gmail.com or call and leave us a voicemail line at 360-524-2484. If you have any comments about this episode or any of the previous episodes or anything Monster Kid related, we would love to hear from you. I would also love to hear from you to hear how you're celebrating Lucha de Mayo 2026. Are you watching any luchador movies? I would love to hear all about it. You can write me an email. You can create a recording on your computer and email it to me through email at monsterkidradio@gmail.com, or you can call and leave us a voicemail. Again, that's 360-524-2484. I would love to know how you're celebrating the month, what kind of luchador action you're getting into. Heck, are you a luchador? Are you wrestling as a luchador? Do you have a luchador mask you put on and go and fight crime? I want to hear all about it. Please let us know. Now, I did mention the Twitch stream, twitch.tv/monsterkidradio. It's not active yet, but later this week, I anticipate having it ready to roll where I'm going to be dumping a bunch of luchador movies onto the stream for you to watch for free. And it's the only time I'm going to encourage you to actually chat during the movies, because there's a live chat. Talk it up all you want. Chat with your buddies while you're watching the movies. We're going to have Sancho. We're going to have Blue Demon. We're going to have Mil Máscaras. We're going to have monsters, vampires of Frankenstein, mummies, of course, and maybe some espionage fun, non-monster fun too. That's all going to be there at twitch.tv/monsterkidradio. You can follow us over there for free. You get notified whenever we go live. And I tell you, I've been trying to go live a lot more often these days with more movie packages, like a 10-hour loop that I just kind of set and forget and just let replay. So no matter what time of day it is, you can get your monster fix, or in this case, your lucha fix on for free over at twitch.tv. Bride of Monster Kid Radio is a Team Death production. All original content of Bride of Monster Kid Radio is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 4.0 Unported license. You can learn more about Team Death, our other projects like Death Designs, Mail Order Zombie, the Team Death YouTube channel, and more at www.teamdeath.com. Remember, death is spelled D-E-T-H. All previous episodes of this podcast, as well as the original Monster Kid Radio podcast, are available at www.monsterkidradio.net. Please rate and review Bride of Monster Kid Radio wherever you download your favorite podcasts. México Libre is copyright 2025, Lost Acupulco. You can find it on their album Death by Robots. Now, you can find this at a couple of different places. You can find it courtesy of Green Cookie Records at greencookierecords.bandcamp.com. That's how I found them initially. But the band's also on Facebook, YouTube, on X. Just look them up and let them know that you heard about them here on Bride of Monster Kid Radio. My name's Derek M. Cook. I'll talk to everybody next time. Ciao, or should I say, adios.